Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and the fact that it's blasted past $1,700 and it's on its way to $1,800 per Ethereum. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So it's probably time for a systematic review of where we are. So let's buckle up. Let's stay level-headed here. Don't let it go to your head. It's not the house's money. It's not the house's money. It's your money. Make sure you're responsible with it. So we have our Ethereum mountain range, and we're obviously in the middle of printing our fifth peak. Okay? And we don't know how high this will ultimately take us. It's at a very exciting time. We have no idea how high it will take us. One of the things we can do is look at the extension from the 20-week. We've done this many times. You might say, well, why do we do this? Well, let's go look at Bitcoin. Again, if you're new to the channel, this is very helpful in figuring out where you may be in terms of in the middle of a rally. So what we're going to do with Bitcoin, we'll first put on our bull market support band. Let's just throw on the regression band just for the hell of it. And then we're going to go the log of the price divided by the 20-week moving average. And we don't expect this trend to hold forever, but more or less you can see that each cycle, the extension from the 20-week is less and less. And the reason is because we're experiencing diminishing volatility from one market cycle to another. Now, we do know that this trend will ultimately break, as we've said before, because, again, this is the log of the price divided by the 20-week SMA. And if the price were ever equal to the 20-week, then that would give you the log of 1, which is 0, the natural log of 1, which is 0. And if you extend this out far enough, if we go to 0, then eventually we would go, the trend line would ultimately trend below it, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because by that point it would mean that the price of Bitcoin is always below its 20-week moving average, which does not make sense. So we will break through it at some point. The question is, are we going to break through it here and then go on some new trend, or is Bitcoin going to get rejected back down and then continue on something like that? So with Ethereum, though, how does this play out? Well, we don't really have a whole lot of data to look at, but if we were to draw something like this and speculate that extension from the 20-week is going to continue to decrease, like it did for Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, we can look at this point and say, well, if we were to get there, let's say by the beginning of March, what would it correspond to? And you can see it would correspond to 1.14. So what is the 20-week moving average right now for Ethereum? It's 737.26. So if we took the log of the price divided by 727.36 and set it equal to 1.14 and solve for the price, then that would give us 22.74. So if Ethereum were to go to 22.74 basically tomorrow, then we'd be looking at it coming up to the top of this point here. However, time is on our side. What does that mean? Well, remember, it's a function of the 20-week moving average, and the 20-week moving average is moving up, $50 a week at this point, maybe even more. Let's look closely to get an idea as to how much it's going to be moving up this coming weekly close. If we go back 20 weeks, we can see that the price 20 weeks ago was approximately $361. If we were to replace it with the valuation right now of $1,751, let's see what that looks like. So 1751 divided or minus 360, and let's divide by that 12 because it'd be corresponding to 1/20th of the contribution. We would expect the 20-week moving average to go up by about $70 or so. It depends on exactly what the closing price is. So if Ethereum does not peak, suppose Ethereum does not have a blow-off peak for, let's say 4 weeks. And by the time that gets here, the 20-week moving average could be $280 higher than it currently is. Well, currently it's at $737. So if it were to go up another $300, we'd be looking at $1,037. Let's just round it off to $1,000 or so. So if the log of the price divided by the future 20-week moving average, which might be at $1,000, is equal to that level of 1.14, where would it put us? It would put Ethereum at a valuation of 31.26. Okay, does this make sense? Well, where would that put us on the Ether Bitcoin valuation? We've looked extensively at the symmetry here, at basically building this out. We had, and let's look at the weekly time frame. So you can see over here, we had this bottom and then a double bottom, if you're into traditional TA. We had this bottom here and this bottom as well. This was we had a top in this region and then a top right here at the same level, okay? This is where we dumped below. This is where we came back up to. There's a lot of structure so far, but what happens when we get past this point for the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation? Well, on this chart, it's more like the, clear skies, it would seem. It seems to be more akin to clear skies. And that could theoretically take us up to a valuation of 0.085. Now, this is not financial advice, and I don't know if we're going to make it to 0.085 in the short term or not. But if we did, what would that correspond to? Well, what we need to do is we need to go to 0.085 times the valuation of Bitcoin. But we don't know what the valuation of Bitcoin is going to be in 4 weeks. But let's just say that it's 38,100, because that's basically what the price is right now. That would also correspond to just over a $3,000 Ethereum. So if Ethereum were to make it to this level and the price of Bitcoin remained invariant, and we saw Ether against Bitcoin do something like this, come up to this point, before having a significant correction, then it would correspond to just over a $3,000 Ethereum. Coincidentally, if it were to take Ethereum, say 3 or 4 more weeks to get up to the peak here, to this peak line down, and again, we could go past it, we might not make it to it. We're just trying to extrapolate on 2 data points, which is very difficult to do. But if we did, it would also correspond to approximately $3,000 if it took another 4 weeks. If it doesn't take 4 weeks, then it might be lower. If it takes longer than 4 weeks, then it could be a lot higher and still respect this macro level trend line down. So there are a lot of indications that while there is no guarantee that we make it to a $3,000 Ethereum in the short term, there are a lot of converging indicators that make it seem like it is possible. And we like to talk about what's possible, what's theoretically possible, and what's a little bit too far out there. Throwing around numbers like $10,000 Ethereum in a month. I agree that Ethereum can make it to $10,000 eventually. I think making it to $10,000 very soon is not likely. But if we were to pull up the regression rainbow here, one of the things we note for Bitcoin, if you look at Bitcoin's regression rainbow. So let's pull that up and hide the regression band. One of the things you can note is that we tend to fall down a few log lines, 2.5 to be exact for Bitcoin, from peak to peak, and so far it also corresponded to there as well. So the question becomes, well, Ethereum likely will not be able to hit this regression band again, just like Bitcoin has not been able to hit the top regression band, and even hasn't hit this regression band that it hit 2 cycles ago, and so far it hasn't hit this one. And for Bitcoin to hit this one, it would need to go to over 100K very quickly. Otherwise, if it takes it a year or more to get there, then this regression band is going to be even a lot higher, probably over 200K by that point. So if we were to suppose that Ethereum were to drop down a couple of regression lines, which we don't know exactly where it would drop down. And I'm not even saying this is the end of the market cycle. This could be something akin to this, where you see it come up to a peak, cool off for a while, and then go up to a higher peak. Or it could be something akin to this. We simply do not know exactly how this cycle will play out. But if it were to come up to this level, which is what we've been talking about, the top of that band, it currently is around $2,800. By the time we get there, it too could also be converged to around $3,000 or so if we were to go up to the top of the next one, which would be, very overextended. And it would be hard for me seeing Ethereum go too much further past that point, theoretically speaking. That would correspond to a $5,000 Ethereum in the short term. We'll take it one step at a time. These are crazy times. I hope you guys are managing your positions responsibly. One of the things I don't want people to do is to just think that things will go up like this forever. I've lived through this market many times. A lot of the people watching have lived through these types of market conditions many times. It's all fun and games until one day you wake up and your entire portfolio is down 50%. And it does not recover in the short term. It might recover. It probably would recover eventually. Well, it depends on what's in your portfolio. But be responsible. Be responsible. For me, the time to buy Ethereum has come and gone long ago. If you follow the channel for a long enough period of time, you know we were aggressively accumulating in this range. We said the accumulation phase of a lifetime for Ethereum here. Who watched that video? When it came back into it, we said the reaccumulation phase of a lifetime. Who watched that video? Here we are. Right now, if you're still putting it in, if you're still putting money in, you're essentially treating it like a casino, not as an investment. But maybe that's okay. I mean, for you, if that's what you want to do, then that's your goal. For me, I'm more of a longer term investor type, and I like to at some point cut off the buys. In fact, I was buying it up until around this level. Okay, I was buying it up until the end of December. As I told you guys, right? Remember the end of December. We said this so many times. Look at how far we've come in just over a month. Look at where we are. So hopefully people have been able to, do very well during this time, and we are going to continue to follow Ethereum every step of the way. Make sure you subscribe. If you want access to the premium content, remember to check out my website, intothecryptoverse.com. We are having a sale, an altcoin season sale. If you want a link to that, go to the description below. The description below will have a sale price. Okay, if you follow the link to the sale, you can lock in the lower rate. You'll be able to hopefully get a better understanding of what's going on now, and then in the future, be even more prepared for these types of bubbles if you find yourself having come in a lot later than you would have liked. So check it out. You get access to weekly premium reports, weekly premium videos, a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room, a risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade these macro moves in the market, as well as a whole lot of other stuff. Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.